Please join me in welcoming Chris Terrell.
All right, I've been told I have to stay here, and I'm a wanderer when I speak, so I will do my best to stand still while I'm here. So I'm going to talk about driving change. Isn't it crazy how much Jonesboro's changed? So I went to high school here. Anybody remember when Caraway connected all the way through? Yeah? Or when A-State, the Red Bulls was not the Red Bulls? Remember that one? Or I still call it the old Methodist Hospital. I don't even know what it's called, but that's what I call it. And I'm having a hard time accepting a new gas station on top of Hilltop. I'm struggling with that. It looks different. It's not the one that I always went to. Does anybody even remember cruising Nettleton? How about that for a throwback? I did. I was there when they shut that down. So this town has continued to change. It seems, though, that no matter how much we all try to stay the same, life continues to change around us, right? Like time never stops, no matter what. You can decide, I'm good here, but life's going to just keep moving, no matter what. Now, I've always been drawn to change. I'm very much wired that way, I suppose. Some folks like status quo, they like cruise control, and some people like change. So people like me, I'm good at put me in a problem-solving situation, something where you're going to have to create change. I'm going to do well in that environment. And I used to pour this love of change into my professional career. I'd working 15-hour days was not weird for me. SG360, big janitorial company here. That was my dad's company. Helped start and grow that with him. And it was easy to dump all my energy into that. It was a family business. It was dumping it into a family legacy. But I did it to the detriment of myself. I didn't leave anything for me. I used to say things like, no, I know what I need to do, but I just don't. I'll get to that later. I'll start next week. I just need to find the time. Or my absolute favorite one, now is just not a good time. I can't do this now. I'll deal with it later. I'd say things like, I should lose weight. Click ahead. There we go. I should start eating better. I should start paying off my debts. I should start my own business. I should read more. If I had to summarize everything that I would take towards my life and my personal life and my professional individual development, I could summarize it into one thing. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Because, and it's not like I'm setting up tomorrow me for success. No. I'm just going to let tomorrow me figure it all out. Present me is going to do nothing. The problem is, if you keep punting it to tomorrow me, well, it'll never get done. Because eventually it's going to have to be a present you that makes the decision to do something. Eventually it's going to have to be you of a moment that says, yes, I am going to do something. Then one day, I'm not sure what that is, but then one day, everything changed. Everything. I've been shoulding all over my life. I should do this, I should do that. I had been wishing for things to happen. I've wanted things, but I just never seemed to want anything enough to actually do anything about it. I just like talking about it. But again, I was good doing that in my professional life. I gave everything there. But then, I heard a word spoken by my dad. Followed shortly by 2 months to live. This is unexpected. Didn't know this was going to happen. Of course, no one does. You don't know you're going to have cancer coming. He was in his mid-60s. There's a lot of life left to live. We had lots of memories. I had lots of things I wanted to do and let him see. I had lots of experiences I wanted to have with him. There's lots of experiences he wanted to have. He was chasing dreams. He was still pursuing things. But when you hear that, when you hear 2 months to live, all of a sudden for me, I had somehow managed to be blessed enough to make it into my 30s without losing anybody particularly close to me. I'd lost some relatives that I was close to, but never at this level. I had never lost any friends that were at this level. And so I still believed that time was going to keep going. All of a sudden, when I heard this, I recognized that time is a finite resource. And that no matter what, no matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are, no matter how smart you are, no matter how not as smart you are, you can't get any time back once it's gone. Once it's gone, it's gone. So I now know time is leaving. I only have, at most, 2 months left with my dad, who was my best friend, my mentor, my teacher in so many areas of my life. And we're driving around at Craighead. He's in the truck with me. We weren't saying much. There wasn't much to be said. But he was toiling over this one experimental treatment that puts you in, we're talking miracle territory. So under the best of circumstances, they were saying 20, 30%. So not great odds. And best case scenario, 2 months with no treatment. So what do? Do you waste the time you have left, or do you not? And he was toiling with this. What do I do? And we're sitting there, and finally I broke the silence, and I said, you know, whatever you decide to do, I'm going to support you. I have opinions. If you ask, I will share them. I won't unless you ask. But whatever you decide, this is your journey. And I'm going to support you. But I have a question. And keep in mind what I'm about to tell you, I don't know if this was right to ask or not, but I did it anyway, because quite honestly, I was scared. I was about to lose my dad. And I said, if there's any lessons that you've been sitting on, anything you've been waiting for me to have an experience for later, so that maybe I'd understand it, if there's anything you haven't said to me that you've been waiting, can you go ahead and say it to me now, even if I'm not going to understand? Even if it won't make sense to me, will you tell me anyway? And he sat there. He said, you know, let me think on that. Now, I was living in Kansas City at the time, so I'm back in Kansas City a week or two later. And the phone rings, and it's him, and I pick it up, and he said, you know, I thought about your question, and I do have something to tell you. He said, he told me to stop waiting around. That if there was something I wanted to ask for it or go for it, and if I don't get it, to just move on. And to stop being so afraid of what might happen. Because I was someone that would get paralyzed with fear. Fear of failure, and I got to live with that. Or even worse, fear of success, and I can't handle it. Leaving me stuck, doing nothing. Stop waiting around. That's how I summarize the lesson he gave me. That final bit of wisdom. Now, by itself, this would have not done much, honestly. I probably would have heard it because stop waiting around. Okay, yeah, I've heard that before. Just do it. Yeah. But it was paired with the understanding, a mindset shift that I had now had happen involuntarily to me, which is that life is finite. Time is a valuable and precious resource. And I'm sitting here talking about, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow keeps never coming, because tomorrow keeps being tomorrow. When is tomorrow going to become today? When is today going to become right now? And this was me about that time. I looked happy. I smiled. I'm going to lie, or be honest, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of faking it. I was convincing myself that I'm going to be happy. I knew that smiling would make me happy, eventually, so I started. I was 290 pounds, and fast gaining. Because remember, I dumped everything into my job, and I left nothing for me. And there's a saying that I heard that again, taking into account everything that's happening, all of a sudden made sense, which is everyone lives 2 lives, and your second one begins when you realize you actually only have one. And then I go back here to stop waiting around. And since I put my dad's parting piece of wisdom into place for me, I was able to lose 125 pounds after a lifetime of constant up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I'd easily lost hundreds of pounds, but I was able to lose it and keep it off. I was able to obtain in my last career the dream job, the job I wanted, because I finally started taking action. I finally started asking for things, and when I didn't get it, I moved on. Ended up with all the perks and the pay and everything to go with it. Well, then I started getting addicted to this feeling of, oh, wait a minute, if I could do that, what else can I do? So I thought, I've always wanted to run my own business. And so I set out to do that. I wanted to get out of debt, and I got out of debt. I wanted to make peace with my own inner demons, the things that I was dealing with, and stop hiding and pretending like I'm the only one suffering in this world and the only one going through hard times. So I started reaching out and connecting to people and realizing, oh my gosh, so many of us are going through things. So many of us are trying to improve. At all age ranges, from young to old, successful to unsuccessful, whatever that even means. I was able to go from running 0 miles last year to not being able to run a single mile without needing to walk, to a Christmas Day, for me to honor my father, I went and ran a half marathon without stopping, by myself, just went and did it. And I did 25 kilometers last month, and this weekend I'm running 48 miles for a race. And it hasn't even been a year. So all of this happened because I stopped waiting around. But I want to give you some action, some things that you can do, that you can take into your own life to hopefully help. Now this is something that I do with my clients. I normally sign people up for 6, 12 weeks, and we take a long time to go over this. I'm going to compress it down into just a few short minutes and give you a few snippets. So this was actually really hard to compress this down for me. I have like 6 pages of stuff trying to go, what are the most important parts to bring to you today? And I whittled it down to a few things. That if you take these away and apply it to your professional and personal lives, you will experience change and transformation in your life. Not maybe, you will. The first one, stop trying to change everything at once. Now I'm going to use weight loss as an example because it's what I do the most of, and I'm hypocrite number 1 at doing this. I'm going to lose weight, so I'm going to give up carbs. I'm going to start working out 6 days a week, even though I work out 0 days a week currently. I'm going to give up this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go buy all this gear, and the next thing, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm a new person. I've changed. And of course, what usually ends up happening, if you're anything like me, if I got lucky and managed to make it 2 weeks, I fizzled out because I burned out. What I was doing is changing so much, so fast, that it was completely unsustainable in every way. And when you're embarking on a change initiative, you have to hedge against burnout. I thought when I got into coaching with people that I was going to have to spend a majority of my time giving people like, hey, come on, keep going, keep going. And don't get me wrong, I do. But what I found more often than not, in the beginning, I spend the majority of my time saying, I think you're taking on a little too much. What do you mean? I think just 2 or 3 things are fine. No, I should be doing more. No, you really don't need to be doing more. You haven't done these yet. So this gets to the next part, though. So first thing, stop trying to change so many things at once. Pick a few things. But then you need to set effective goals that go with that. And a lot of people, goals I have sort of a love-hate thing with. Because you can't have a goal right now. Goal is more of an objective. But a lot of folks, if you spend so much time chasing a goal, well, you'll realize something. And I'm going to ask a question. Has anybody here ever achieved a goal that you took a long time to strive for? Anybody ever done that? Raise your hand if you don't mind. All right, so we've got a few. Has anybody then, if you raised your hand, achieved that goal and felt that empty feeling that comes after? That you spent 10 years chasing it, and you get it. Now what? Anybody else felt that? Like, let people know you're not alone. Okay. I saw you nodding your head back there. You've definitely felt it. I remember when I started hitting these 10-year goals, I realized it's not the destination where the growth happens. It's what you have to become to get to the end that matters. And far too often when we set goals, we only set the end far off goal. But there's 4 types. We need the incremental, we need the short term, the long term, and the life goal. A lot of folks are very good at life goals because those are basically dreams. Long-term goals are super effective to have because they give you a direction, but long-term goals need to change because the other thing, the important reason why a long-term goal needs to change is what you're going to care about in 2 years from now. How presumptuous are you to think that you know what future you's going to think? I have thoughts that I want this, and then 5 years later, I'm still going after it. Like, but I don't actually want it anymore. But yet, I'm still going after it. I'm like fall victim to the sunken cost fallacy, big time. This is why you need shorter-term goals, because shorter-term goals are a little more tangible. But again, you can't have them right away. It's the smallest one that people mess up with, incremental goals. So this is the next thing right here. Focus on incremental improvements. A lot of folks are looking for, now again, I'll use weight loss because that's one of my big things, huge sweeping changes overnight. We like that feeling of momentum. We like to feel, oh my gosh, I made all these changes, and then 2 weeks later you haven't changed anything, and now the work has set in, the grind is set in. It's like, oh, this isn't quite so fun anymore. And you've run out of things to change. As crazy as it sounds, when personal development comes into place, less is more. Anybody ever heard this phrase in business? Under promise and over deliver? That's good customer service, isn't it? Why on earth do you not do that for yourself? Why do you over promise and under deliver for yourself? Because I would do that. I want all these big lofty things. And then when I fall short, I just beat myself up and say, gosh, look, you're terrible. You failed again. And failure is a whole nother topic. But all of the changes that I've been able to achieve, I can trace back to a small first step. My 125-pound weight loss journey came from the decision to get into a pool and just swim for 20 minutes. I had no other, that was it, just that. Which came from a challenge that my brother-in-law gave me to just, where he said, I'm worried about you, man. Why don't you just move for 20 minutes, 3 days a week? And I'm like, oh, come on, I'm not that bad. And then inside my head's like, yeah, but you're not doing it. I'm like, whoa. Now I'm conflict here. Like, all right, fine, I'm going to do it. So I just started. And then I just took the next step. And then I just took the next step. And I'll bet every single one of you here in your life, if you look at the thing that you are, your proudest accomplishment, your proudest achievement that you have gotten done, that took time, if you look backwards, I'll bet not a single one of you in here can go, yep, that went exactly according to plan, exactly how I wanted it to go. Totally, I got it. No. The dots connect and they make sense when you look backwards, but when you're looking forward, the dots make no sense. So all you can do is focus on taking the next right step, the next right movement. Having your long-term goal that keeps you direction, but being willing to change it as you need to, but focusing on the here and the now. And I want to tell a story to illustrate the concept of how small changes add up, to really, really build. So I had this is back when I was in commercial cleaning, I had a building where we needed to increase margin. We needed to increase profit margin. Now, in janitorial, 70% of your operating expense is labor. So that's really about all you can touch if you want to make any meaningful changes. And there's 2 different kinds of ways. Now I'm going to pull the curtain back for any of y'all that hire a janitorial company. 2 kinds of ways for solving this problem. The manager goes into the employees and says, work faster. And so the employee's like, yeah, but I can't get everything done. And then the manager says, do it anyway. So then the employee just starts cutting corners. They're calibrating to the customer. Like, they cut this corner, customer says nothing, keep cutting it. Customer says this corner, customer flips out. All right, don't cut that corner. Cut this corner, oh, they don't say anything. Cut, and that's what they start doing. They start figuring out what they don't have to do. Now, I was taught, and what I learned is don't do it that way. If it's 3 hours of work, give them 3 hours to do it. And if it's 4 hours of work, give them 4. Don't give them 5, don't give them 3. So I'm at this building, and I need to save time. And the math says that we should be cleaning it faster than we're cleaning it, but we don't know why. So I go and I'm just watching the cleaners with my stopwatch. And I notice It's this long, flat building, Cobb Van Tress, actually in Northwest Arkansas. It's their headquarters. And it's just one single-story building, long hallway, and there's just rooms on either side. There was about 300 trash cans. And what was happening is that cleaner was taking the trash can to the door, walking into the room, grabbing the trash can, walking back out to the trash can, dumping it in, taking out the bag, putting a new bag in every time, and then walking back and putting the trash can back, walking back out into the hallway to walk down to the next room. So I go back to her the next day and say, hey, I want to make one change. I'm like, okay. I'm like, take that trash can, and instead of leaving it at the doorway, walk all the way into the room with it. Just take it all the way to the can. Get as close as you can get. Almost always you can get right next to the can with it. And then when you dump it, don't change the bag every time. Dump it and look inside of it. If it was just paper, just put it back. It's fine. Set it back down. And we figured out this saved an average of 15 seconds. That's it. 15 seconds. So some people are like, well, that means nothing. What's the point of 15 seconds? 15 seconds is silly. I tell people when they're trying to lose weight, I'm like, just start parking in the back of parking lots. Doesn't make a difference. Not really, not if you just do it once. But if you do it a bunch of times, it starts making a difference. So let me show you the math here. At 15 seconds a room, that equates out to 1.25 hours a day at about 300 trash cans, or about 275 hours annually. At the time, our loaded labor rate was $17.75. That 15-second time saver equated out to a $4,800 a year savings in labor. But just shaving 15 seconds off of a single task. That's it. So the next thing that'll really help is focusing on the next step. I call it the next step mentality. Far too often we set up on we have these big lofty long-term goals of things that we're looking for, and we can't seem to just stay here and now. We get so caught up on, oh, I gotta do this, and we're worried about steps 5, 6, and 7. It's like, but have you done step 1? Well, no, but I'm really worried about 5, 6, and 7. Like, well, just do step 1. Like, because whether you're doing 10 steps, 50 steps, or 200 steps, you still gotta do step 1. And so whenever I'm swimming, which is a form of exercise that I greatly enjoy doing, I can't think about how many laps I'm going to swim. That is overwhelming. That will just freak me out if I'm in the pool and thinking, I'm about to swim back and forth 50 times. When I'm going on a long run, and I'm like, I'm going to be running for how long? When I was losing weight, I got to lose how many pounds? Like this, no. That's way too overwhelming. Instead, it's like, just swim one lap. Just turn around, look up, sight to the other end of the pool, and swim there. When you're losing weight, just lose the next pound. If I say to anybody that's trying to lose weight, can you lose 2 pounds in 3 weeks? Most people are like, that doesn't sound so bad. All right, can you lose 50 pounds in 3 months? Well, I don't know, that sounds like a lot. If you're trying to pay off your debt, like, hey, I'm going to pay off all my debt right now. That's a lot, but could you put $50 towards something? Could you put $20 towards something? So at the end of the day, you just got to find your goal, look at what the nearsighted goal to that is, figure out your incremental steps. So in the case of paying off debt, I would challenge somebody to be like, let's pick your smallest one. What can you contribute to it now? And then focus on that next step and start taking action to lead you to that. So I'm told I'm supposed to do a little Q&A.